All I had to do was move.
Done that before.
Surprise, surprise.
Sure don't. Yes, I do.
It looks pretty good in the video.
I should have made sure it was the video in here
Jenny, you gonna welcome us?
Sure.
Okay. And then I'm gonna say we're gonna.
All right.
Go. Go.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Saturday morning board game show. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonah.
I'm Katie.
I'm Kevin, and let's get started on today's show. All right, I think we're here. Is everything?
so.
Well, I think we're here. Let us know in the comments if you can hear us and all that kind of stuff. But we are so happy to join you today. A little smaller crew for today's show. Will and Sarah aren't here, but they're here in spirit, hopefully commenting away with us in the chat. So before we get started, without further ado, we have a giveaway for today. A book. Everything good, Ryan? Maybe he's okay. Good. A book giveaway. So chat away in the comments. We'll give away this book to one of our chatters at the end of the show.
What's the name of the book?
This is called Winning Street. This is tales and trivia of the 40 most popular board games. So it's like an encyclopedia of games that we play.
Yeah.
So
Neat.
if you want to learn more about that, maybe you'll win.
I heard something about that book actually. Were we talking about that recently?
Last month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Oh, you did. It sounded good when I heard it.
Yeah, it's got
read
some
it.
fun little trivia in there. And also, we'd want to give a big shout out to our sponsors for the Saturday morning board game show. We have The Up, we've got Burnt Island Games, and Queen Games. And we're going to throw it over to Melissa because we're going to talk about one of Queen Games' games right now. And I'm going to join her.
Hello, welcome over to the table. I'm Melissa.
I'm Kevin.
I didn't get to
Poor
introduce
Melissa.
myself at the beginning. So we are looking at Merlin the Deluxe Big Box, and it is a giant box
That's a big
of
box.
stuff.
Yeah.
Merlin came out a few years ago, the base game, and then they had some expansions that came out. And then with the big box, it has all of the previous expansions and then a new expansion, which is Morgana, and it actually has 3 modules. So it's like 3 extra expansions. The other big thing with the big box is that they did game tray storage.
Oh, yeah.
And
First of all, Merlin is a Rondell
well, I
worker.
was going to get to that
Oh,
eventually.
okay. Sometime we'll also talk about the game itself, but let's talk about the storage then.
Okay, so why don't you move that one over? It has a bunch of trays that hold the components, and because it's a big box with lots of expansions, there are lots and lots of trays for the different components. There's even more, but I'm not going to bring them all out.
Yep.
There are also trays for your player pieces. So Kevin has one that's still all together.
Yep.
So that makes setup very easy with all of your pieces there.
Yeah.
Some of those are expansion pieces. So
But most of them are using every
Yep.
game. So, do you have any people asking questions?
yes, and then of course with all of the stuff, they have a great guide for how to put it all back together in the box and what goes where.
Oh, we have people
So
joining
that
us.
is super helpful for Merlin the big box.
Okay, people are saying that everything looks good.
Awesome.
So
All right, so I guess we should probably talk about how it plays.
A little bit. So, interesting, first of all, the Merlin, the King Arthur theme, you have the round table in the middle, and you have seats around the table, and that's where you're placing or moving your knight that you control.
Yes, basically at the beginning of the round, you're going to roll your dice, and they are going to determine how many spaces your character can move. So on my turn, I can either use one of the red dice to move my red person
Clockwise. Only clockwise.
Or I could use the clear white die to move Merlin, which is the white pawn, and he can move either direction. And basically as you're moving, let's say I decided to move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wherever I land, I can then take the action of that place. And we didn't put all the bits and pieces down out on the board.
But there's
still on the
flags
tray.
and shields and cubes and lots of stuffs.
Yeah, so you have pieces that you can put out on the board that then do something in that spot, like putting out influence or gaining a shield or a flag that have special powers.
Also, like area control going on in the game. Along with the...
I didn't even put out the region board where you're building castles and strongholds and things like that with those pieces.
Yep.
So, a lot to think about. Kevin was really good at taking his turns quickly because you basically, at the beginning of the round, know what you can do.
Yep.
But there's still a lot of variations with the flags, with the special powers, and where is Merlin? Did someone else move Merlin? What are my options? So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good take on the rondelle.
Yep.
And even though it's technically, I guess, roll and move, it is a more complex aspect. And adding in those expansions are definitely going to...
There's like some asymmetric, like things you would normally expect in expansions. You got asymmetric things, you've got different boards and things like that. So
yeah, so I was just looking to see if there was
any questions. But
cool.
That's all right.
Merlin big box, it is available for sale. It was on Kickstarter. I have seen it on places for sale. Lots and lots and lots of stuff in this box. They weren't kidding when they called it a big box.
Over to Katie. The couch.
Oh, and I think I'm going there too.
Go for it.
Hi. So we are going to be talking about Fairy Tale Inn from Simon. This is a game that uses traditional fairy tale characters, and you are trying to stack them in certain ways to score coins in this, I don't know, like a Connect Four style, I don't know, tower? I don't know what you'd call this.
Yeah,
like,
grid.
I'm not sure.
It represents the inn.
Yes, it is the inn. And there are several different characters. You pull out 5 to play with in a game, and each one does different things. I have an example here of like the evil queen will make you pay a coin if you place on top of her in the order here, or Little Red Riding Hood that gives you coins if she's surrounded by other people. So we're actually looking at Pinocchio, the Little Pigs, Jack and the Beanstalk, the Big Bad Wolf, and the Pied Piper are the ones that we're gonna show you today. What you'll do is you'll pull them.
I'm gonna put that out here.
I don't know. I don't think they'll.
Which ones are
See it
being
on
able to
here.
be seen or not?
Yeah, I don't know that these will be seen, but you move down the line. Of course, the ones that have just been pulled out of the bag get cost 2 coins. 1 coin in this slot, but as they go down, they're free. So you basically take turns going back and forth.
2-player game, 2-player
Yes.
only.
The first player starts with a single token. The second player starts with 2.
Why don't we do a few rounds so they can kind of
Yeah.
see what it looks like once some things are in there. I guess that means you're first player, huh?
All right, yes. So I am going to take the Jack and the Beanstalk one, and they have a front part of the tile that is colorful, and then they have just an outline version. The one facing you would be the colorful version, so you know which ones are the ones you've placed. So Jack and the beanstalk lets me place a beanstalk right above him. And now I've hit a special location. And this special location allows me to pay 1 coin and take an additional turn.
Oh, very nice.
So
these would have...
Yes, these would come down. We pull another one out of the bag. And now I get a second one. And I think I'm going to choose the big bad wolf. The big bad wolf, if I have the majority of the wolves on this row, at the end of the game, I will get 3 coins for that. Oh, and I was supposed to get 1 point for playing Jack.
All right, so then it comes to my turn, and I'm going to take Pinocchio. And Pinocchio has an end of the game ability where you gain 1 coin for each of your opponent's characters next to it. So I think I'm going to put him in here. So I know that I'll get at least 2 coins because 2 of Katie's characters are next to my Pinocchio.
Yeah. So then I'm looking at this. This is the next available spot that has something fun to it. This will give you an extra coin if you go into that slot. I think I will take a... I think I'm going to take a Pied Piper. Pied Piper allows you to place a rat. So I'm playing the Pied Piper and I'm placing a rat. So I get a coin for playing the Piper and then 1 for the extra spot there. I'm going to put the rat right here, I think. Normally the rats are great for blocking the other person's stuff. Like the little pigs, you would want to get all in a row, like all touching.
So they can block those.
Yeah, so I was pretty successful in blocking Ryan's little pigs with my rats last time.
Yes, I did tempt you into putting one above my Pinocchio. So basically you keep going, and the games are going to be different based on which characters you're playing with. So I might go here with Jack to kind of do what Katie did earlier, to be able to take another turn. And then maybe I would put a wolf, so Katie doesn't have the most wolves there now. And you keep going until a certain number of columns are full.
Yes, 3 whole columns are filled. And that would be the end of the game. The 2 that put out extra tokens, so you have to really be watching that. Each one kind of scores differently, so you have to kind of decide on your strategy and see how that works. So once again, this is Fairy Tale Inn from CMON. It says it's a 15 to 20 minute game. I played with Ryan and we stretched it out to much longer because I couldn't decide how I was going to interrupt his pigs. So
doing strategy.
Yes.
So Will was asking, are the tiles cardboard or plastic? They are cardboard, but they are a pretty thick cardboard.
Yeah, they're nice thick token.
And the board is plastic, so that's kind of the clink that you're hearing is the the cardboard on the plastic.
So, but yeah, and there's a nice little soft bag in there. So yeah, that is Fairy Tale Inn from CMON, and it's recommended for 8 and up, so child friendly.
All right, I think we're ready to go to the table. What you guys got over there?
We sure are ready. We are going to take a look at Santorini, New York from Roxley Games. So,
and Spin Master.
And Spin Master. I apologize. So this one is probably, most people have got to be familiar with the regular Santorini.
Yeah, Santorini's been out for years.
Right, by now.
Yeah.
Super popular. This is their latest edition, Santorini New York, and it's got a little bit of difference, a little bit of variability in the rules from the original Santorini, and it's also got some really cool components. So they've got these skyscrapers that are representing, obviously, the New York skyline that you get to put out on the board. The board's inset, which is super nice.
Like
so all your pieces are going to fit really nicely on the board. There's no sliding. There's no, you know, pushing them over and all that stuff. So we'll play a few rounds.
Let's do it.
We'll play a few rounds. Okay, so to start the game, you've got to put both of your characters, your meeples, on spaces with the same number.
Ooh.
So like I'll take the 3s.
All right, and I'll take the 4s.
Perfect. And then we've all got a stack of 5 cards in our hand. We each play one. They all have special abilities. The special abilities are over here beside the side of the board if you want to see what they do. So you play one, and highest number is going to get the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, that's important.
Which is a win condition. You've got to have the Statue of Liberty and build and move one of your characters up to a 3rd level to win the game. Or with one of the cards, which I think is the Engineer, you've got to have the Statue of Liberty and build a rooftop to win the game.
And build a rooftop.
And build a rooftop. So just heads up. So I'm ready.
Assuming those are the rooftops, the blue ones.
These blue ones are the rooftops. I'm ready. All right, you played a 23. Statue of Liberty's for you, but I believe I go first since I played the 8.
Yep.
I'm playing an NYPD officer, which means I could move the special ability of the officers,
I see that.
or I could move onto an opponent's worker's space, and I would force you back.
So you can move anywhere.
You only can move one orthogonally.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but then you move. I could force you back if I was hitting you.
If you were touching me.
Yeah,
okay,
and then also, of course, you're gonna move and build. So I'm white. I'll move here and build
something orthogonal to yourself.
Something orthogonally. I believe you only build 1. Something's telling me you build 2. That sound right?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I'm gonna take a quick look. I think you just build 1 though.
Yep. No, I think he's build 1.
Okay, cool.
And then the ironworker, you must build in 2 different spaces.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
All right.
Ironworker's 2 spaces. That's just 1.
Which makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So you do have to move first, though. It's always a move first. Yep. All right. These get discarded.
Do we get to draw anymore?
Not until we're down to 3 left.
Whoa. All right. What do these special buildings do?
So if you play an engineer, play an engineer. I'll show you.
Okay. I will play engineer.
I'll also play one because I want to build one. Flip them.
We're at the same. Oh.
So I'll take this guy, Statue of Liberty symbol. We both played an engineer.
But you have 17, I've got 19.
Yep, so I go first because I'm sorry.
So I get to keep it.
You get to keep it. But because we played an engineer, before you move anything, you build a skyscraper.
Next to one of your people?
So you can build
it does look like
Yep,
that. Okay.
but here's the thing about the skyscraper. They really get in the way because you can't.
You can
it's
build
like
on top
a
of them.
block.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
like
a
that.
block.
I like that.
So like
you
if I built it here,
I'm stuck.
you're like trapped in that
I
corner
like that. I like
until
that.
you can get out.
But you still have to move first?
Yep, and then I move and build one. So like I'll move here and put one here.
Okay. All right, so I'm also going to take one of these here, and I'm going to put one right here.
Okay. Kind of
You know
trying
what?
to trap me in.
I'm going to trap. No, I'm going to put it on the side for fun.
The cool thing about this game is that it plays 5 players. So things can get
super tight.
Hectic. Super tight. But of course, I mean, that's what makes Santorini fun as you get up to different levels, as you're getting trapped, as you're like, oh no, I have to play the one power, the ironworker where I can build 2 things. That's the only way I can make it out, that sort of thing. So, one more?
Let's do it.
I'm ready. It's I've always thought Santorini is super light. You would. I've always thought Santorini is super light.
Yeah, it's like an intro to chess in a way, because it's like this nice abstract strategy game. It's very simple. Instead of all the different memorizations of where the chess pieces moves and stuff like that, you're just moving and building.
Yep,
which is cool.
It's cool that it plays 5 players. It's fast. I mean, you would trapping me in.
I'm gonna move, and I'm gonna build over here.
And it, I mean, 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah,
at the max. At the max, and that's got to be with like 2 people because if you get
we have the same idea here. We're trying to build before the other person's. All right, well that's a quick look at Santorini, New York. I like the
the skyscrapers.
Skyscrapers are nice.
I like the skyscrapers. I like the inset board. I like the design of it, the artwork. I mean, the cover is super fun. Yeah. I mean, I think they did a really good job.
Cool.
For round 2. Santorini from Roxley Games and Spin Master. I think we're going to head back to the couch. We're going to talk with Melissa and Kevin about Chronicles of Crime 1900.
Hey.
Double duty.
Oh, scoot over.
Oh, yes. Good idea.
All right. So, Kevin and I both really, really enjoy Chronicles of Crime.
Yes.
The original one came out a few years ago.
I'm going to
It's
say
been
like
out for a while.
2017, 2018, something like that.
So this
Probably
is
2018.
a deduction kind of story game, cooperative, but it does use an app that you have to play with because you scan the different QR codes on the cards, and that's how you travel to locations and talk to suspects, and you can ask a suspect about an item or about another person. So it's interactive in the way the story unfolds.
There's
because
also some VR elements too.
yes, so if you go to a crime scene, you have your phone and you move it around and you can see the crime scene,
Yeah.
and you kind of say, oh, I see this and that, and then there are cards that you pull out that would say like, oh, bottles or paintings, jewelry, that sort of stuff.
And there's two different ways you can use that VR. You can just use it as like a phone, seeing the scene, or you can. I think the original game came with glasses that you can put on your phone, so it's almost a 3D environment.
Yeah, you can do it either way.
Either way, totally works. We've done it both ways, so.
So, yes, so the original Chronicles of Crime had several cases in the original box, and then they had some expansions that you had to pair some with the base game.
Yeah, this seems like more like Stranger Things, like this one.
The Red View, kind of
one.
like teens.
Yeah, but little kids running around the neighborhood.
There was Noir, which is more of the crime detective, Dick Tracy type.
Yeah.
But
They just came out with
the newer versions of Chronicles of Crime are standalone.
Yes.
And they released 1400.
This is last year.
So this one's been out for a little while.
Yep.
They did a Kickstarter for it, but you can also buy it standalone. And you're kind of
You're like a
detective that also kind of has visions.
Yes.
I guess.
Like the themes are like you got the monks and the that time of like medieval sort of time frame.
Right. Your powerful families that are.
And of course, everyone loves the dog
Mm-hmm.
as your companion, and he can actually do things in the game, run and
sniff something and try to find who it belongs to, that sort of stuff. So, but
we're here talking about the newest version,
which is 1900, which I believe has just become available in retail, maybe within the last few days.
Yeah.
So, Kickstarter backers have probably had it for a little while, but now it is available to purchase.
I actually just heard, maybe like today or yesterday, they actually just released a few more scenarios for 1900 as well.
Right.
There were some initial ones that were available, but I think they just, with this launch of the product, I think they wanted to even have more scenarios available.
Right, and because it's app-based, they can even have downloadable scenarios also as they expand the stories.
So talk about the theme and we can see some of the close-up stuff here.
So it's 1900s Paris. This is about the time of one of the world fairs. You play as a journalist who is kind of tracking down stories and trying to figure out some of the mysteries. Kevin and I have played...
Okay, so here's the Eiffel Tower.
Yep, Eiffel Tower. The locations are double-sided.
What?
So lots of options with where you would go to different places.
Oh, there's your main office, yeah.
So I think Katie had it set up so they could see everything.
Okay. Thanks, Katie.
Kevin's like, no, I'm moving it
You're
all.
welcome, Kevin.
But anyway, we've played the first scenario of 1900.
Oh, I like that one.
And
That's cool.
the new thing that they add in this box is a kind of escape room element.
Oh yeah, there's some puzzles going on.
So there are extra cards that have...
I'm not going to reveal them, but I'll show you the backs here.
That have puzzle aspects. So not only are you...
I'm just going to look at one to see what... Oh yeah, I can show you. This was one from the first case. It's not going to reveal anything.
So, why don't you put it down? Yeah. So you find that and you're like, have no idea what that means. And then throughout the case, you may find something that goes, oh, this might be a puzzle, something that I need to solve. So this is the first box that has that more puzzle aspect to it. None of the other cases that I know of had that aspect. Yeah. So that's built into these scenarios, things that you have to solve and puzzle out. So I really enjoyed that aspect
Anybody have
of
any
the
questions?
game.
Yeah, and they, just so you know, this is in a series. We had the 1400, the 1900, and the next one I believe is coming out either later this year or next year is going to be 2400, so a futuristic version for Chronicles of Crime. I'm really excited about that one. So.
People are asking about Consulting Detective.
Oh yeah, we've played most of those, or many of them.
Yeah, I would say it's similar in the aspect that you're solving a mystery, but this is much more interactive than Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
One of the things in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is you can go anywhere. And it's up to you to deduce where you're going to go on that map of, you know, all those numbers on the map, which can get sometimes confusing and sometimes can even lead you astray. Whereas I feel one of the strengths of Chronicles of Crime is the story will lead you, and it'll give you 4 or 5 different locations to go to, but not thousands of locations.
Right.
Which I think is very helpful. And even in the app, it'll have you sort of say, oh, here's 3 or 4 different locations you go to. It's up to you when you go to those, and even if you need to go back to some of the locations, because some things can change throughout the storyline. So I do like that the story does progress and helps lead you down that path.
And the app knows who you've talked to or how much time has passed, so it...
But I feel like you still have agency and player control. It's not like it's on rails, I don't think.
Yeah, and they have different levels of complexity, so some of the easy cases kind of get you into it, and then there are some difficult cases where you really have to pay attention and like
you don't know in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective how easy or hard it's going to be, whereas in here when you choose what story you want to do, it'll give you a rating of, you know, this is going to be an easier or a bit more difficult. I do like that if you're trying to compare those two. But
yeah, I really enjoy Chronicles of Crime. I think 2, maybe up to 4 players.
Yeah, 2 to 4 players would probably be the best for this. When you get,
I mean, you could play it by yourself as well, but it's nice to you know be able to.
I agree.
Bounce ideas.
The
off
more
of people.
players you have, the less they're going to be involved in the story. So if you have more than 4, there's just not enough for people to do. Like someone might be, you know, keeping track of notes or things like that. And yeah, so that's Chronicles of Crime 1900. Check that out at luckyduckgames.com, and we're going to head back to the table.
Hey, so welcome back to the table. We are going to be talking about Bravo. It is a roll and write game by Stronghold Games. It plays 1 to 6 players, so it does have a solo mode and special rules for is fairly traditional style roll and write. You'll roll, each person will take a turn rolling the dice. As you roll the dice, you are going to have 3 options here. You have an option for the amount of boxes you're going to fill in on this grid, and you pick the amount and a combination of with a color. So all of our numbers are the same, so it would be 2 green or 2 orange or blue. Your other option for this would be choosing to take this special die instead, which does specialty things. But you have to have these boxes circled with the ability to use that dice. So the first player will choose what they want and take it out of the pool altogether, and then everybody else at the table then gets to use whatever combination of these dice they want. So they don't get this choice, but they can use whatever combination they want with those, and then you mark them off. Now, rules for marking them off are such as you have to have exactly that many boxes available to be able to do it, or more. So if I chose 2 orange, which is not good, I wouldn't have really chosen that one. I would mark off 2 orange spots. In this game, you are racing to see who can fill up these columns and rows the fastest. And the person who does it first will get the points listed here on the columns, the top row, and anybody who does it after that will get the lower amount of points. So it pays to be first in that case. Now with the rows, those are much harder to fill up because it's a lot longer, but the prizes for that one are gone as soon as the person takes that. So it makes a lot of sense to fill those up because they're worth a lot of points. But if you're not first, you won't get any of the nice things here. You've got points that can accumulate in these hearts here. So every time you fill up a column, however many hearts you have marked off, you get those extra points every time. So if you get a bunch of hearts early in the game, you get a bunch of points.
Yeah. It looks like you're getting points for all the rows at the end of the game. The columns, those are columns. All the columns at the end of the game. You're getting points for all the rows at the end of the game. You're
Filled
getting points,
columns and
filled
rows.
columns, yeah. You're getting points for your hearts.
Yep.
You're getting points for your exclamation points. You're getting points for your boxes that are circled. And you're losing points for stars that are unmarked.
Uncovered stars
Uncovered
are negative
stars.
points at the end of the game.
Yep.
And it really, towards the beginning of the game, you're looking for a lot of these high rolls. Like you're looking for like the 5s and 6s to try to get this filled in super fast. But at the very end of the game, the 5s and 6s are worthless to you because you don't have enough boxes to fill in. So you can't actually use those numbers.
And you said the rules for coloring things in were like, so let's pretend I've got a 2 green here. Do I have to color in these 2 green, or can I color in like 2 here?
With the start of the game, you do have to start on the column H.
Yep.
So as long as it starts and stems off of there, and then after that, you're available to connect any that are right next to it. You can go off of that. But yeah, so that's basically how this game's played. It's pretty simple. You also get points here if you're the first one to finish out an entire color. So you've marked off all the boxes of a color. And the game is actually over when the first person gets to 3 colors completely filled in.
End game trigger.
Yes, so
like it.
one person can really hit that hard and surprise everybody else with the end of the game.
Yeah.
But so that's basically how it's played. There are also options on this dice. There's a wild color available, so you can choose whatever color you want, and then there's a wild number, so you're trying to get those, but anytime you use those, you have to mark off these exclamation points, so you only have that many available that you can use those. So yeah, this is a pretty easy roll and write. It's for ages 8 and up.
Yeah.
I would definitely say an 8-year-old could play it. Probably younger could play it. I don't know how competitive anybody younger would be. But
yeah, pretty standard roll and write. But if that's your thing, this is definitely a game you should check out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is Bravo from Stronghold Games. Are we ready at the couch?
Yes.
All right, back to Kevin and Melissa.
Welcome back to the couch. We are here talking about another game. You wouldn't believe it. Here at the Saturday Morning Board Game Show.
So many games.
Jekyll and Hyde. This is from Mandu Games, which is a South Korean publisher. So I don't know if this is available yet in retail.
Which is why we're talking about it.
But I believe they try to get it licensed into America. So eventually you will see this. Jekyll and Hyde is a 2-player only trick-taking game where one player plays as Jekyll and the other one plays as Hyde. Oh, that me? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm Hyde.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. All right, so Melissa, we have a hand of cards, colored, 3 colors.
Yes, and basically we're going to be playing 10 tricks during the round. You play 3 rounds during the game, and Jekyll wants the players to have an even amount
Yes, so,
of wins.
yes.
Hyde wants it to be uneven.
Yeah, it wants uneven, as it could be uneven in Jekyll's favor or uneven in Hyde's favor. It doesn't matter as long as it's powerful on one side. So
Right.
more tricks won.
So we're each have different goals for the trick taking.
All right, but the first thing we do at the beginning of the round is exchange a card for round 1, exchange 2 cards in round 2, and exchange 3 cards in round 3. There's some rules about all that, but we're just gonna do it here, and I believe
Does Jekyll start?
Jekyll
Who
starts.
All right. So I'm going to play a card. Whichever card I play becomes the lowest rank of cards. So I'm playing a red 3. Gonna take the red token and put it.
What's the rank? The numbers go to 1 to.
1 to 7, 1 to 9. There are
There's 20,
25 cards.
but some of them aren't colors. So
1 to 7.
1 to 7. All right.
1 to 7.
Cool. All right, here we go.
All right, so Kevin played.
We don't do that yet.
Right, Kevin played the same suit because you have to follow suit.
Yep.
But he played a higher number, so he's going to win that trick.
Yep.
And then he gets to start
Yep.
as a trick taking.
Yep.
He continues with red. I am going to also play a red. So he wins a second trick. Uh-oh. And he plays another red. I'm following suit. Red.
Oh, now I have. Now comes the fun choice. What do I want the next thing to be?
So if a different colored suit is played, that suit will become the second highest in rank. So purple is now second highest.
And if you play off suit is when you can start playing these powers, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Wow, this is not going well for me because I want it to be even. And
I've won 4 tricks so far. All right. But I want to win all the tricks.
So basically,
or lose all the tricks.
The way the suits work, so if I played a 7 red and Kevin plays a 2 purple, the 2 purple would beat the 7 red because now purple is a higher rank than red.
And there's a power as well.
Right. Alright, so I'm going to win a trick with the 7.
And we can play a potion at any time, correct?
Yes. Yes, you can.
I mean, as part of the trick.
Gonna play a 4. Kevin wins that with a 5. Kevin plays a 2 purple. I'll play a 3. Gonna play a 1 green. 4 green. This is not going well for Jekyll.
This is great. Melissa usually do.
Yes, you know, I just didn't have the cards this time.
Okay. I won that one, so you're gonna win this, I believe.
I'm going to play
okay, so here's the
5
first potion.
plus potion. When a player plays a potion card, the effect depends on what color the other one was played.
So we're trading hands.
Both players choose 2 cards from their hand or 1 and exchange them simultaneously. 5 plus, so
Right.
it beats the 5. Then I play the 4 plus, the 3 plus.
But there's no.
They're both, yeah. So at the end of this round, I have won 4 tricks.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Kevin has won 6, so Hyde would move 2.
Yep.
Basically, it's 3
It's
rounds.
actually not too bad. Melissa's dad actually did pretty good because if I
Came
had
back there.
Yeah, because Jekyll needs to win 3 or 4, or needs to have a spread of 3 or 4 in order to move to win the game. Because Hyde wants the piece to get all the way to the end by the end of 3 rounds, and I only moved it 2. So.
Right. So basically, Hyde is trying to have it be a big disparity so he can move a bunch, and Jekyll's trying to keep it even. So you're trying to win some tricks and lose some tricks, and can get a little crazy.
Yeah, we've played it multiple times both ways. Hyde is definitely interesting to me. Trying to either lose all of them or win all of them.
Yeah, and then each color has a power, so when you play those potion cards, you might
offsuit.
You might be taking these off, you might be trading cards.
Or even gaining tricks. The purple
right.
one.
Oh yeah, purple. The winner takes a trick from the opponent. So if I played a potion card on that, I could have taken a trick from Kevin to balance it out better.
Yep. All right, back to the table if you guys are ready.
We're ready. Hi. So once again at the table we have Carcassonne Hunters and Gatherers. This is a standalone alternate version kind of Carcassonne. It is set, well, back when people were hunting and gathering. But there's no settlements or roads or anything, but there are lakes and rivers, forests and things like that.
Yeah. It's a lot of it really is just like an alternate version, it looks like.
Right,
Yeah,
yes. It's you wouldn't play it with the base game. This is not an expansion. But there are a few differences. You have a new type of pawn here. You've got a little hut, which goes on river systems. It's like a little fishing hut, and it gives you in-game points. It's not something you can ever retrieve. It is what it is when you lay it out. There are some really similar things. The rivers in this are very much like roads in the original Carcassonne, with the exception that you get points for any fish illustrations. So there are actually a bunch of illustrations on these tiles, and those illustrations really make a big difference in this game because they count up towards points in the end. So you've got these land tiles here. They're fields that are a lot like the fields in the original Carcassonne game, but the animals that you find in the fields will give you different points. The woolly mammoths will give you 3 points per woolly mammoth in that. There's, some sort of bull or oxen gives you 2 points, and then there's some negate one of your deer points. So for every saber-tooth, yeah, it's a predator. So for every saber-tooth tiger in that field, you would have to then mark out, and it only is one of the single ones, the deer one. So you would mark out, let's say, a deer in that same thing with the little X tokens that they've given you to show that it's been killed, and you won't receive points at the end of the game for that. Another thing, and this is probably one of the biggest changes, is you've got these Menhir stones. I don't know if I say those right. I've tried saying them a few times. I need to look up the pronunciation for that. But they are in the forests, and the forests are basically what the cities were. The very similar idea. But these stones, if you complete a forest that has these Menhir stones, you get to draw a special tile from a special deck that's got a different back on them. And this little set of tiles has specialty things on them, and they all do neat and interesting things. This is a trap that you can lay down in a field like this one, and it will take care of your saber-tooth cat. And so it can do good things for you. There's tiles that are like the cloisters were in the old set, where you're trying to fill in all the way around it. Fields around, and they are, so these are all really good. Everything in this. I'll say that we found in the rules that if you're the one that finishes the forest with the Menhir stone, you get to do the specialty tile laying. So even if that forest doesn't belong to you, you get to do it. So we had a lot of people finishing out other people's forests just to get that extra special tile. So it's interesting because it can be either good or bad things. You can attack. I say it's always good for the person who lays it.
Right.
Sometimes it's not good for the person who has it laid next to their stuff. So, but there's all of that. At the end of the game, you count up river systems with these huts. So I've got a hut here, and I've claimed all connecting rivers and lakes in that system. And you get points for all the fish in that system. And there are just a lot of things that give a lot of different bonuses and things like that. So the base game with Carcassonne is pretty simple. Lay a tile, you either do one or two things. But this one you have to pay a lot more attention to what's being illustrated, and where you might be accidentally connecting in on somebody else's things. I mean, I guess you had to take note of that in the old Carcassonne as well. But this adds just a little extra spice, kicking it up just a little bit extra with the different things you have to pay attention to. So, yeah, that's Carcassonne, Hunters and Gatherers. So if it sounds interesting to you. Oh, this is Z-Man Games. You can check this out.
Yeah, if you're familiar with the base game, they're really, again, the forests are what the cities used to be, the rivers are what the roads used to be, so you only really have to learn kind of the new additions.
Right.
If you're
The rules
familiar
are
with the
easy
base
to pick
game.
up if
Right.
you've already played the base game.
So that makes it really helpful if you're like, oh, I really like that game, but I've played it 100 times and I'd like some new variability to it, then Hunters and Gatherers might be the game for you, for sure.
Yeah. Check it out. Y'all ready at the couch?
We're back to the couch.
Hey, we are here talking about Fantasy Realms from WizKids, which came out quite a few years ago, but they did a reprint of it with a new expansion called Cursed Horde, and we're going to talk a little bit about the game itself and then what Cursed Horde brings to the table. So we've actually, while they were playing over at the table, we were actually playing some Fantasy Realms here, and I've taken a couple turns, and Melissa's taken a couple turns. It's actually Melissa's turn. This is sort of a hand management type game.
Yes, and technically it's 3 players is the minimum, so even though we're just playing it with 2,
Right.
it's, you'll at least get the basics. So on your turn, you draw a card. You can either draw from the discard area or from the top of the deck. I'm going to take one from the top of the deck, and then you have to discard a card. And at the end of the game, you want cards that work well together and that don't give you
Yes,
negative
well, Melissa's
points.
actually thinking what she's doing. Okay.
Yes. So each card, why don't you talk about some of the cards with the examples
Yeah, so
down
you can
there.
sort of see here, a card has a type, so like a suit in a way. So undead, artifact, beast, land, and a lot of these cards will also give base points up at the top left-hand corner. So this, at the end of the game, this Death Knight gives you 14 points, but most of them also have either bonuses or penalties on the card itself. So this one says plus 7 points for each weapon and army in the discard area. So if there's a lot of weapons and armies in the discard area at the end of the game, this could be worth a lot of points. And every card basically does that. Some are super powerful, some are very helpful to what you're doing, and I need to take a card because I don't want any of those anyway. Ooh. Alright, I'm going to get rid of
Discard something cool.
a building, which is a dungeon. This one gives you a lot of bonuses for other things in your hand, because the building wants things in it. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
right.
So as I take my turn, do you want to tell them what's new in
Sure.
the expansion?
So in
I'm
the
actually going to take from here.
Oh, alright. So, the expansion Cursed Horde, as you could probably tell, does bring the undead and some other cards to the game. The main thing that the new expansion brings are this cursed deck of different items. And you start the game with a cursed item. Melissa has winged boots, and I have a staff of transmutation. Basically, these are special things that you can do on your turn if you take the power. One time, most of them are one-time use. Like this one lets me return cards to try and get better cards in my hand. But if I use this power, I get -4 points at the end of the game. I would turn that card face down, and I would grab a new card from the deck. And if I use this one, which this is -20 points if I use it. Thank you. But this one I could skip my discard phase, so I would basically have an extra card from then on. So is it worth 20 points? I don't know. It could be if I have really awesome cards in my hand. So it is actually my turn. Melissa, put weather down. I'm going to draw a card here and get rid of... Ooh, I just got something cool. Get rid of a... I'm gonna get rid of a leader. She probably wants that. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. The other thing that the expansion brings, because there's a lot more going on in the game. Usually you have a hand of 7 cards, but in Cursed Horde you have a hand of 8 cards in your hand. The game's over when there are 10 cards.
12 for the expansion.
Oh, thank you. 12 cards in the discard pile. So we're about halfway through the game. We're not going to play through the whole game. But I heard a lot of people were talking about Hadrian's Wall in the comments. So definitely check out our Viewpoints video on that. And how close are you guys over there?
Ready.
You're ready?
Oh, well, I do want to...
Melissa wants to talk a little bit more.
I do want to mention, like, some of these cards,
Sure.
they say they have penalties on them if they're with other types of cards. Some
Sure.
of them will blank your cards, so it says something like...
Oh, I've got one.
The blizzard blanks all floods. So if you have the blizzard in your hand and flood cards, those flood cards are basically like they are clear. There's nothing on them. No points, no suit, no powers, anything. So you have to be really careful with the cards that you keep.
I can show you one right here. So I have a war dirigible, and this says it's blanked unless with at least an army, and I do have an army in my hand. But it's also blanked with any weather, so I make sure I don't have any weather in my hand, but I do have an army, which they're sort of thematic. They're trying to make sense. So, of course, a war dirigible doesn't want bad weather, but it does want an army in it, and it would give me 35 points, which is a lot of points. You know, if you can get 35 to 45 points per card in your hand, you're doing really, really well.
Yeah, and then there's interesting ones like the Gem of Order. So if you can get cards in sequential number order, like 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
If you can get a large run like
Very
that.
Very difficult to do that, although Melissa does very well at doing it.
You can get a lot of points, but those cards might not work well together, so you're kind of giving up that aspect. I find the hand management in this game is really interesting. You can sometimes get a really lucky deal where someone gets cards that work well, like the shield and the sword from the beginning, those combo well, but there's some really tough choices about what do I put down, what do I keep, because you know the other players could pick up those cards. Ooh, does that let you copy a card? That's cool. Yeah. So I believe it's 3 to 5 players, and Fantasy Realms, quick game, lots of reading though on the cards, but as you get familiar with it, it makes more sense, and it's like, am I going to get that card? That card's going to give me 100 points. Can I get that card?
Well, sometimes watch why you're trying to, discard. Some powers let you discard cards and things like that. So the cursed items do help you go through the deck a little bit better.
Yep. So that is Fantasy Realms with Cursed Horde. Now we're going to the table.
Welcome back to the table. We are going to take a look at Jungla, which is one of our actually sponsored games for this Saturday morning show. And we're going to play through a few rounds and kind of talk about it. It's kind of got a simple premise to the game, but there's a lot of complexity to it and understanding kind of how to play. So I actually really enjoyed the story. I guess it's maybe because I'm a dad now, but the story was that the author of this game, the publisher of this game, was teaching his kids about Noah's Ark, and then his kids wanted to play chess with the animals.
Oh.
And so they were moving the animals all back and forth, and they decided, you know what, maybe we should do like a chess-style game with the animals here. So Jungla is what was born from this idea. So here's how this works.
And this is a prototype.
This is a prototype. We have prototype pieces. So we do have a like a real piece, what it's going to look like that they've sent with us. So it's
coming to Kickstarter May 22nd.
Coming to Kickstarter May 22nd. The direction of your animal is facing is a big deal in this game.
Oh wow, okay.
And so on these pieces, they're like, forgive me, hexagonal shaped. So that way, and there's an arrow on the front, so you know which direction they're going, because you can go straight or diagonals or sideways. Okay. And then you've got your little, it's kind of like what is that game? Guess Who? That's not it.
That slides in?
Yeah, they like slide in to the top of it. That's not Guess Who. Am I right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm right. Anyway, and you slide it in, and that's kind of what they're going to look like finished. But again, we don't have all of those pieces right now. What we've got currently are just prototype pieces, but they've got all sorts of cool animals on it. They're all like wielding swords and shields and
this one's got a battle axe.
Yeah, weapons.
This is a rhino with a battle axe.
Yep. I've got maybe a buzzard with like spikes on his feet. It looks pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, to start the game, we'll play a few rounds, okay? So it's kind of chess style. So here's how it works. We all start, you can put 3 of your animals into their starting spaces. You've got starting spaces that are on land. You've also got starting spaces that are in the water, just depending on which animal you're trying to put out.
All right, so do we go back and forth?
We do go, well, you go 3 at a time. So I'll put 3 out, and then you can put 3 out.
Okay. I'm going to choose the ones that I like.
And you point them, again, you can point them any direction. So direction is a big deal. Just heads up.
Okay.
Diagonals and stuff like that. I'll keep doing that. Actually put this guy here. Gotta put your...
I'm putting out a hippo and a snake and a guy that looks a little bit like Bowser.
Cool. Your snake has to actually be in the first row instead of the second row, but it's okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And of course, the point of the game is either to take all the enemy team out or to get your people to this special row back here, which will give you points for every turn that you're back there. So now that we've placed 3, you're able to play a move if you want to. So you on your turn you can move 2 animals, 1 space, like 2 animals, 1 movement action, and you can move, and each animal moves differently just depending on what type of animal they are.
And what terrain they're in.
And what terrain they're in, exactly. So like for instance, I've got a, what do I have here? I've got my zebra with nunchucks out here. My zebra with nunchucks is a runner, and so runners actually can go a little bit further than the other animals. My zebra can go 2 spaces on land or just 1 space in the water, and my zebra is able to move forward or to the top left, like diagonal left. They also do have all the movement listed on the board, on the game board, so really helpful. You don't have to go back and forth through the rules to figure out, can I move that way, can I go that way, stuff like that. So like, I pointed in this direction to start, so I would have to go 2 spaces like that.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yep.
And then we would pass back and forth going on turns. At the end of the game, what we're trying to do, and this is just for fun, you don't actually put this guy out, but if you're able to conquer the other team, you're taking this staff of something. You're taking this staff, which is like the, I won, I'm king of the jungle type staff that you're trying to go. You've also got some cool spaces on the board. Again, one of the things I really like about the board is the different types of terrain. So like you've got land here, you've got water here. These spaces in these corners, if you can see them, are the prisons. Ooh. So you might have to put some of your people in prison. You've kind of your starting den where we're starting from. You've got your scoring markers over here, which again, as you get to these spaces, you're going to score points for being there. Depending on what animal is there too, you could score more. I think both of us have turtles, and if the turtles get in here, they score double because they're slow.
Because they're real slow animals. Yep.
And of course, you're trying to get your points up to win the game. So it's a really, again, easy to understand, but really complex with all the movement and strategy and am I attacking? Am I moving in the water? Am I going left? Can this animal get me from there? That sort of thing. As you try to, kill the other people's team and win the game.
So what do you do? Run into somebody and that's how you attack them? Yep.
You basically, so if you were here or something and I had the movement to get to you, that's going to be like your attack. I've got the movement to get there, so I could basically bump you back, depending on what animal it is, depending on what animal gets attacked, that sort of thing.
Okay, I was going to ask, like, can my kangaroo take out the spiked turtle, or is that a thing?
Yeah, so I think your kangaroo is also a runner. So runners can... kangaroos can actually jump over spaces as well, just in case. Obviously, they're a kangaroo. And it's all depending on the animal that's attacking and getting attacked. But mostly, every animal that you're going to have is going to be able to take out one of mine. You're not going to run into something that's like, oh, I can't take it out. There is one, I believe it's actually the turtle. The turtle can't get taken out. It's got like spikes on its shell or something. Yeah. Here it is. Spikes on its shell.
I'm telling you, that's very Bowser looking.
It is very Bowser looking, and it can actually be taken out. That's the only one. Other than that, you're the other people. But yeah, I thought it was super actually interesting as I'm playing it. Like, again, one of the biggest things for me was just the different levels of terrain, knowing where you are, where I want to move. And it's decent gameplay. It's going to be 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, just depending on how intense you are getting into it. It's like kind of like that chess style. It's like if we're really thinking and we're really trying to play, you're going to be here for a little bit longer trying to set up your team and set up your moves. But yeah, that's Jungla. And again, that was one of our sponsored games that we wanted to chat with you about this morning.
May 22nd.
May 22nd is when it is coming out on Kickstarter. If it's your type of game, definitely check it out. I think that we are going to head back to the couch. We might even go over there. We should go over there.
We'll go over there.
And we'll go over there and we'll talk to you guys about our giveaway. We'll talk to you guys about some of the other fun things we've got planned this week, and we'll close it out.
Welcome to the couch, and of course, as you heard, Jonah and Katie are going to join us. Come join us.
I'm coming.
We're going to close out the show. We should spoil all the things that Will usually spoils. We'll do that.
What does that mean?
Perfect.
All the shows that Will likes to talk about, like.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah, or not.
No, that's okay. He's not here, so we can do whatever we want. That was the show, but we do have the giveaway. This book, Winning Streak, to one of our lucky viewers right now. And Ryan has rolled the dice, and we have figured out that the winner is Hornist 34. I think they played the French horn from their icon. So,
Oh, that makes sense.
Hornist
34.
Makes sense.
Did I say that right, Ryan? All right.
We think we said it right. If we didn't, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So you need to email sarah@tantrumhouse.com with your address so we can email you this, or we can.
We're gonna email this book to you. It's a new thing.
We'll mail the book to you.
And that is SARA@tantrumhouse.com.
Thank you. Sarah is very, very nice in sending out all the packages. Too many packages.
A lot of packages.
A lot of packages. All right. Well, yeah. Any comments in the chat there? Anybody asking?
Lots of congrats.
There were a couple questions.
Yeah,
want
let's
to
do
go
it.
over them.
Oh, good.
Let's do it. Let's answer some questions.
Someone asked if this version of Carcassonne was easier to teach to someone who hadn't played the original Carcassonne.
I would say no, because there are more rules than just the original Carcassonne.
I'm looking at
So Hunters and Gatherers would be more difficult potentially to teach, just in case they couldn't hear right.
And I did. I was gonna say I played it at our community game night with two people who had never played Carcassonne.
Oh wow.
And it took them a little bit harder to. It took them a little
Sure.
longer. I mean, it's not
Carcassonne's
like
you're like pull a tile and place it.
I know. Yeah, the other two people that played with us actually had played Carcassonne a lot, so they were just ready to jump right in.
Gotcha.
And the other two were like, "Wait, so we can place our tiles anywhere?" Or like so. It took them a while to figure it out, but I wouldn't say it's like remarkably harder than just regular Carcassonne. I just think regular Carcassonne is slightly easier.
We're gonna go with definitely not easier.
Yeah.
But not
like way hard.
Yeah, not like way harder.
Yeah.
Cool.
Does Kevin?
So another question we had was Santorini, New York.
Oh.
Do you feel like the skyscrapers are too tall that you might knock them over as you're placing stuff down?
No, actually,
but I think they're tall enough.
They are tall enough. No, the board's inset, and the bottom of the skyscrapers, the bottom of the pieces have like this, like a, I don't know what you would call it, like a gap or something. It just fits in the inset.
And they overhang a little bit. So
so once you sit it in there, you're not really gonna knock it over. That's not.
Right.
I've played it 2, 3, 4 times. I don't think I've knocked over a piece once. And they're also not too tall. They're not too tall.
Right.
I mean, it's nice. Once you get the 3 levels of the normal kind of buildings you're building with a roof on it, it kind of matches the height of the skyscraper.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit lower. Obviously, skyscrapers have the points and stuff like that. But no, it's not too tall. It's actually really nice. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I played it with my mom, even, who, if you've played games with your mom, you know what I'm talking about. I played it with my mom, and we played. 30 minutes later, she was like, "Oh, that was fun," you know.
Okay.
So I was like, "Perfect." So.
Someone was asking how we would sum up a comparison of all the Chronicles of Crime
All right.
out so far.
Well,
Okay, get ready.
Do they
Another hour.
Do they get
Just
better?
kidding.
So, obviously the base game, the first one, was kind of revolutionary when they put it out because games hadn't done that before. I would say some of the stories are better than others.
I would agree. I think the stories have gotten maybe a little bit better personally. I think why I say that is I think that they are able to latch onto the theme, and I think the story and the theme fits what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think that might be why I think the story might be a little bit better.
For the newer ones?
For the newer ones, 1400 and 900. I honestly think, like, it really depends on you. what if you like the medieval theme, or if you like the 1900 Paris theme, or if you like the sci-fi theme that's coming. I think you might be drawn to that more than
Yeah, and we've only played one of the 1900. We've played at least two of the 1400, two or three. I think we only played one of the Red View and one of the Noir.
I think Noir might be a little bit more adult.
Gritty, maybe a little more gritty because of the theme.
More gritty. But yeah, they all have. The neat thing is they all have something different. I think I personally like the 1900 one the best because I do like that. The puzzles.
Yeah, the addition of the more escape room puzzle type solving.
Just personal.
In addition to the deduction.
One thing that I know in the 2400s coming is your characters that you can sort of become or talk to. They could have special powers, like they could have like a cybernetic eye. They could hear, or they could see someone's heartbeat, and if they're lying. They could be like, oh, you're lying because your heartbeat is racing, or things like that. I think
that'd be the one that Ryan and I would probably really like.
Right.
The futuristic one, sci-fi version.
So, but yeah, I think I've enjoyed them all. Some maybe more than others. 1900, I think, has been my favorite so far.
I know, we've only played one.
I know. There's so much more to discover. And then someone best at Star Trek was wondering if you want to play Stellar, Kevin.
Do I want to play Stellar? I always want to play Stellar. Stellar is a great game.
It's a 2-player game with kind of a astronomy sort of theme to it.
Oh yes, thank you, Ryan.
With Stellar, we recommend it. It was in our list.
I don't know
best 2020 games.
If you're familiar with Board Game Geek, they are currently running nominations.
No,
it's over.
Now you're actually voting.
You're actually voting on the nominations, and I think Stellar might be in the running for best 2-player game of 2020.
Oh wow!
So they did. I think they should definitely.
Yep, Renegade Game Studios published it. Then Pitchback, Matt Riddle are the designers, and kind of a head-to-head astronomy, building your putting things on your telescope.
Before we say goodbye and say thank you to our sponsors, I did want to talk about this week's schedule for our videos. Monday, you're going to see our board game news show. Of course, Jonah's in it, but Will, I don't know where he's at. So
we lost him.
We lost him.
It's okay. We put out some news about him.
Will.
He'll be back later.
He'll be back sometime.
We have a special guest co-star on the news show for Monday.
That's right. I was pseudo Will Meadows.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. So if you like those, make sure you check out Monday's video.
Yep.
What do you have on?
Tuesday is Vivid Memories. It's an overview. Wednesday we have a How to Play from Melissa on Chai.
T for two.
The T for two. The new one coming to Kickstarter. I think this week. And then Thursday we're going to do a playthrough of
Hoverdome Red Canyon Run.
And possibly a playthrough after that of the Chai T for two, the 2-player game. So check those videos out. So definitely our next live video will be Thursday night, like Jonah was saying. So our sponsors, Bird Island Games. Thank you for sponsoring our series here, and the Op, and of course Queen Games. Thank you to all our sponsors. Check out their websites. Look them up on Google. Bird Island, the Op, and
Queen Games.
Queen Games. Yeah. So
Kevin's like, you need to drink some coffee.
Yeah. We're gonna get some food. It's lunchtime, so we're gonna say goodbye, get some lunch, talk about Tantrum Con because that's coming up in 2022. Excited about that.
It's gonna be fun.
All right. Onward and forward.
All right.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Have a great Saturday.
Thanks for joining us.